There you go. He just, I mean, when he let it go, I was like, what are you doing taking that shot?
It looked like he was well guarded, didn't
Yeah, well guarded, and it was a follow away, and that's the one that kind of put him over the top. And then they got that where the rebound kind of got loose, and Elijah Martin got an easy dunk, and that was huge too.
And it was a game. We weren't very good on our free throws.
No.
To still win, shooting as poorly free throws there. That's a good omen for us, also.
Yeah, sometimes it's that you don't have the right guys at the free throw line, but this is like Elijah Martin going over 2, and
it was
Condon,
unusual.
who's been better lately. But Tommy Houck at the end made the 2 free throws that put the game away, and that guy deserves a lot of credit for what he's brought to this team. Another duly noted podcast comes to you from the Coach's Podcast Room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill in Celebration Point. Okay, and welcome into another duly noted podcast presented by Titan MRI and Imaging, coming to you from Meldon Law's Gator Studios here at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. We'll have Coach Spurrier on again today. We always love having and, Robbie Andreu will join us for Yes, No, Way, or Maybe as well. On Thursday, Pat Bradley is supposed to join us. Thought we were going to have him this past Thursday, but there was a mix-up in the dates and times and everything, which happens. But Pat will be – actually, we were going to have both Pat and Kelly Ray Finley on. I was putting them both on. But anyway, Pat is supposed to join us on Thursday. I hope he is. I mean, he knows he is. Let's just put it that way. All right. So by the way, my eyeballs, I think, are still bouncing up and down from how much basketball I watched. It was incredible. But anyway, let's get to our Royal Blue starting 5, brought to you by Royal Blue. Of course, Randy Royal over there does a great job of getting people into boats. And he will get you into, that fishing boat that we saw. We need to put that up maybe next week again, that fishing boat that he's got for sale with the Gator thing on it. Oh, it's really cool, man. All right, let's get to our Royal Blue starting 5, and that is number 1, Florida is in the Sweet 16. How they got there, it's hard to even tell you how they got there, but guess what happened? Walter Clayton hit a couple big threes at the end of the game. They also got a couple other big plays. Tommy Houck with the big free throws. Look, we all knew UConn wasn't going to go down without a fight. And they had a great game plan, how to play Florida. Slow it down. Try not to let them get out and run and get back on defense. And, the biggest thing was they missed so many threes early in that game. The first 15 minutes of that game, really. They missed a ton of threes, but the rebounds were all bouncing way out wide, so they were getting a bunch of them. That said, Florida didn't do a good job of rebounding. They didn't do a job of handling the ball. They had 9 turnovers at the half, and we're tied at the half. It was the first tie we've had in the NCAA tournament this year. And then in the second half, you could just I'm not kidding you. I was literally sitting there, watching the game going, all right, what am I going to say about this loss? And I want to make sure I talk about how much I loved watching this team play and don't let this loss dampen it. Well, I didn't have to say any of that. So because they came through again, what a great job that they did. Look, this is a great basketball team. Whatever they do the rest of the way, I got to be honest with you, I'm good with. I hope they can do more. I hope they can go further. I want them to win it all, like all of you do. But you don't get out of the first weekend, and that's where people got down on Billy, which I can't believe people did. But they got down on Billy for missing 4 straight Sweet 16s, and then guess what happened? He went to the next 3, then he went to he won a national championship, then another national championship. Then he got into a little bit of a slump again, came out of that one, had a team that went to 3 straight Elite Eights, then had a team that went to the Final Four. Billy was a great coach, and the fact that there were a lot of people questioning whether he was or not. The bloom is off the rose, I remember was the line that a lot of people were using. But the bottom line is that has nothing to do with right now. What's going on right now is just pretty incredible. And really proud of these guys, proud of Coach, proud of everybody for dealing with what they've had to deal with this year in the toughest conference in the country. And just Can't be happier. I guess I could be happier, but and the good thing is, the really good thing is that now everybody's going to shift all the attention to Duke or Calipari. Florida is going to go back to being under the radar, which they certainly weren't. Everybody was picking them to win it all, because they looked so good in that SEC tournament. And I got to be honest with you, a lot of these guys, Chuck Barkley. There was a guy named Chuck Bradley. He was a good player for USF, basketball player. Charles Barkley watches a lot of SEC games, but I'm not sure how much of these other guys they watch of it. They watch some. Anyway, point is, Florida won. And that's like my saying, win by one. And they won by two. That was kind of like the South Carolina game. I was saying to people, win by one. They were like, what are you talking about? South Carolina's terrible. I go, win by one. That's all you got to do. You win by one, you win. It goes as a win. It doesn't go as a loss. That's all I care about. Win by one. Win by one. All right, let's get to number 2 on our Royal Blues starting 5. And that is Florida will next play Maryland. Maryland won a great game. We'll get to that in a minute. Florida will play Thursday, 7:39 is tip-off for that game. The Gators are 6.5-point favorites. A lot of people will say, well, why Thursday? Why not another Friday? Because you barely get to come home, and then you have to go get right back on a plane, fly all the way to San Francisco. Yeah, but these are all set. They're set before. The Thursday games are going to be that region. The Friday games are going to be this region, whatever they decide. And look, they're not the only team having to do this. There are several other teams that have to do this. Maryland's got to do it. Maryland played later in Florida. But there are a couple other teams. So anyway, don't worry about it. That's not going to be the reason if they lose. It's not going to be the reason they lose. Maryland's got a really talented team, a lot of good players on that team. They've had a really good year. That's why they're a 4 seed. And we'll see what Florida can do. I'm not, again, like I told you last week, enjoy that SEC championship for 3 days and then get serious on Thursday. Well, you can enjoy this one for 2 days, today and tomorrow. Wednesday, you got to start getting serious because they play on Thursday. I did want to also bring up why Bobby Hurley was so mad, because I don't know the reason. Look, did they get some bad calls, questionable calls? Sure. Did Florida get some questionable calls? Sure. You got to play around the refs. He doesn't believe in that. So he's become the topic of conversation again. Now, I don't know if he does all this stuff on purpose when he says to the Baylor players or the Baylor coaches, whoever it was, I hope they don't F you as badly as they F'd us. I hope it doesn't happen to you, Baylor. And he's probably thinking 1 seeds are getting favorable treatment. Look, I watched that whole game, and I'm not unbiased. I didn't think it was lopsided in any way. But if you're watching it through a coach's eyes, you do think it's lopsided. That's why you're arguing with coaches all the time. This guy does have a personality issue. He's got a real problem, and he's acknowledged that. But, the bottom line is, if you don't want something to get up on Twitter, don't say it. Because wherever you say it, somebody's going to have a camera phone. And now UConn actually went to the guy who did it and put it up and said, take it down or we'll ruin your life. This was a UConn sports information guy. We'll ruin your life. Okay, well, you guys, maybe everybody there's got a problem. But, hey, look, if I lived in Storrs, Connecticut, I would probably have a problem too. Anyway, calm down. Look, what you guys did, Coach Hurley, is amazing. To win those 2 in a row and blow the field out last year. This year you weren't quite the same team, but you had a lot of players from that team. Look, we all looked at that. When that draw came out, we all went, uh-oh, UConn. That's never good to play UConn. And a lot of it's because of the way they're coached. They're coached to play hard, and they love playing for that guy. But it feels like every month and a half or so, we're bringing up something weird that Bobby Hurley did, but he's not my problem, right? Danny Hurley, I'm sorry. I always want to say Bobby Hurley. Danny Hurley is his name. Get it right, Pat. Bobby Hurley is still at Arizona State. I thought he might be in trouble. Let's move along to number 3 on our Royal Blue starting 5, and that is, I was just worn out when this game was over. In fact, I'm sitting there on the couch. We've got family over, and we're sitting there watching the game, and finally the clock struck 0, and the guy hit the 3 at the buzzer. It was meaningless. I didn't care, and I just literally went, I can exhale. Oh man, I couldn't even cheer or get up, or I was so exhausted, and I didn't play. You know what I did? I sat on the couch and ate charcuterie that my wife made, and she made a great brunch. We had a great time, but it was I don't want to watch that game again. Like usually on the Monday after a game like that, I'll go watch it in the morning again, just see if I missed anything. I don't want to watch it again. I don't want to go through that agony again of thinking Florida was going to lose. It's not fun. And I know a lot of you went through this, and I'm sure a lot of you are prepping your calls for the tailgate today. We got to get a new coach. Anyway, they won, and I'm just glad. But that is a DVR file that I may as well delete because I never want to watch it again. It just wasn't fun to watch. All right, let's get to number 4 on our Royal Blue starting 5, and that is the SEC haters. Boy, they were having fun on Friday. Friday, the SEC was 4-4 at one point, and they were just having a blast. And these are some reputed, or maybe refuted, but journalists, not just fans. Everybody's having fun, and this is how bad it got. I actually rooted for Calipari to win his game against St. John's, which I normally wouldn't have done. But I did, because I wanted the SEC to say, hey, these are our best teams. The bad teams are out. The Georgias and Mississippi States, the Missouris that came in on a losing streak. Those are done, and we kind of thought they may be done. But we've got 7 teams now in the final, in the Sweet 16, which is the most ever for a conference. The old record was the ACC, I think in 16, had 6. Somewhere in that area had 6 one year. But the SEC flexed its muscles a little bit, certainly what Ole Miss did. Just destroyed, now I'm blanking on who they played. They were the last game last night. No, not the last game, but the next to last game. Anyway, whoever they played, they beat pretty easily. Look, Vandy lost to St. Mary's. Oh, that shows how the SEC is nothing special. What are you talking about? Auburn won, Alabama won, Kentucky won, Florida won. All the teams that were good all year won their games. It's still the best league, and it's just showing you. But you guys keep hating. That's fine. Keep hating. Finally, let's get to number 5 on our Royal Blue starting 5, and that is I can't tell you what's going on with baseball. I have no clue. When they beat FSU last week, you're like, man, this team may be something special. They were 15-2 at the time, I believe. And you're thinking, man, this could be really one of his better teams, 1 through 9, the lineup seems to be good. They got the pitching, and guess what happens? Injuries happen. Then you go to Tennessee, and they'll fluff up your ERA really quickly. Then you lose. Then you win your 2 midweek games. You go, okay, we figured the midweek thing out. But they haven't figured the weekend thing out. And the biggest reason is because they got so many guys hurt. Liam Peterson's out, sore arm. All they said, soreness in his arm. They've lost Coppola for a while now. He's been out. I don't know when he's coming back. And then Menendez is out for the year. So it's just been a lot of injuries have happened. Again, Curlin was out for a while, and he's struggled to come back. And it's just, you lost one of your center fielder for the year, Kyle Jones, or left fielder, either way. Anyway, the point is they've had a lot of injuries, but no excuses. Nobody's going to feel sorry for the Gators, believe me. We may feel sorry for him. I feel bad for Sully, what he's going through, but he's obviously doesn't know what to do, because what is he going to do? His freshman pitchers aren't getting it done, so is he going to turn to more freshmen, other freshmen? I mean, you got to figure it out, but I don't know I don't know if it's a solvable problem. And we knew coming into the year they were only going to be as good as their freshmen were going to be. And they just haven't been good enough. Aiden King's been pretty good, but he got his first Friday night start. Didn't work out. So we'll see. They got a Thursday, Friday, Saturday game series against. Of course, they got FSU on Tuesday, and they got Thursday, Friday, Saturday series at Ole Miss. So they're gonna be on the road for a while. Maybe they can get some bonding going. But this is surprising that for Florida's baseball team to be 0-6 in this conference. It's a great conference. Look what they played. They played a Georgia team that looked like a bunch of pros out there. Physically, they were intimidating. And Florida looked like a college team, and they looked like a pro team. It was kind of like watching Michigan-Florida basketball game 2012, I think it was. After they beat Florida Gulf Coast, they played Michigan, and Michigan had a bunch of pros, and Florida didn't. And I think 7 of those guys went on and played in the NBA. Anyway, that's what it looked like yesterday. Georgia's killed it in the portal, and Florida's not done as well. They've done well. I mean, Shelton certainly, but they've got to, I don't know, figure it out. Anyway, that'll do it for our Royal Blues starting 5. We'll be back with Coach Spurrier, and then, of course, Robbie Andreu for Yes, No, Where, maybe all that and more coming up on the tailgate on ES. All that and more coming up on another duly noted podcast presented by Titan MRI and Imaging from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. Here are just a few reasons why doing business with the Royal Blue puts you at the helm of your boating lifestyle. 1, the longer we have your listing, the lower percentage commissions you will pay. 2, survey reimbursement for qualified buyers. 3, detail reimbursement for qualified sellers. 4, on-the-water delivery orientation availability. Call us today to schedule a consultation to see what Royal Blue can do to solve all of your boating needs. Call Randy at 850-974-1294. Hey, I'm Pat Dooley, and I'm using a sterile compounded medication prescribed through BMI TeleMed. The medication contains the same active pharmaceutical ingredient as FDA-approved Wegovy, but is compounded with vitamin B6 to help with nausea, with some patients experience to some degree. My prescription comes from a licensed sterile compounding pharmacy, which is regulated by the Florida Department of Health and Board of Pharmacy. Compounded medications like mine are an alternative option when manufactured brands are in shortage or unavailable for many patients through their healthcare plans. Look, it worked for me once. I'm trying it again.
Great food, great atmosphere, a diverse menu, everything made from scratch, plenty of space, and locally owned. These are all the characteristics of a great restaurant, and you can find each and every one of them right here in Gainesville at Ballyhoo Grill. Ballyhoo Grill prepares all of their food fresh every day, from their salad dressing to their award-winning soups. Bring your family and enjoy dinner under the Tim Trebo Tiki Hut while listening to live music. Or if you're running low on time to eat out, they also deliver through Uber Eats, Bite Squad, and Postmates. A Gainesville staple that's been open for over 30 years. Check out Ballyhoo Grill on Facebook or at ballyhoogrill.com.
Okay, welcome back to another duly noted podcast presented by Titan MRI and Imaging from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. Meldon Law also sponsors Meldon Mondays with Coach Spurrier. We always love Coach Spurrier being in here, and certainly was a lot going on this weekend.
That win we had, Pat, was a good one. I tell you what, sometimes you don't always maybe play your best, and you're in a tight game, and then pull it out in the last minute or so. And Clayton making those 2 3-pointers, and then we got a little easy layup there somehow or another. But anyway, it was a nip and tuck game, and we played super at the end and advance, and hopefully keep on advancing.
Well, that's all you can do. It's a matter of, it doesn't matter how you look. It matters how much whether you win or lose in those games. And I always say win by one. Win by one is fine with me. But that's certainly, we got to figure out what to do for Walter Clayton, because, I mean, we got statues up in front of the football stadium, but there's nothing going on with basketball. He's the first All-American ever, first-team All-American in Florida.
I read that. First, that's hard to imagine. Neil Walk and all those guys.
He was second. But who was on that team, and that second team, the first team? Al Cindor, Cream now, of course. Elvin Hayes, Wes Unseld, Pete Maravich, And Larry Miller, who I know you know about how good a player he was back then, but I mean, he played in the ABA, didn't really make a big name.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the thing. The 04 team that won the back-to-back national champions had a bunch of guys that could have, but there was nobody with great
No
stats.
first team All-American.
Yeah.
I guess that is pretty neat. Walter Clayton, so forth. Yeah.
Well, again, he's on a team that's played really well and won a lot of games. He's a high scorer, and so that's going to get the attention.
Yeah, I tell you, all these teams you watch now, they all play hard. They all effort and hustle and attitude, or else I guess they wouldn't be in the tournament this far right now. But it's always of interest to me. I was watching Dan Hurley coach, and some of these, all the basketball coaches coach.
Yeah.
They coach the whole thing.
Yeah.
And you don't even know who the systems are. And you watch these football coaches, and very few of them do anything except walk around the sideline, and, their coordinators do everything. Not Billy. Billy calls the plays on, still does that. He's involved. But so many head coaches in football, they really don't do much except, hey, what we got called, or maybe go for it or punt or something like that. So, But these basketball coaches, man, they all coach their tails off the entire game.
Yeah, they have, like Florida has a big man guy and a guard guy, but that's more the individual stuff, and they'll give Todd advice and stuff like that, or whoever's coaching the team. But you're right, they do a lot more. It kind of drives me crazy when I'm watching a football game and I'll see a guy like Brian Kelly on the sideline. His mouth never opens. I'm like, what is he doing? Just listening? Has he got a radio show on or something there?
Yeah, it's interesting. Of course, I'm not saying you have to do it.
Right.
The coach call the plays or something like that. Because I remember back Bear Bryant. Now, he never called any plays. He let his guys do that. And he was in charge of getting the guys ready to play. So we were on one of those Nike coaches trips, and Coach Stallings was on. We were in a boat in Hawaii. I remember running. And I said, now, you work with the defense mostly, don't you? And he said, well, I sort of work with the entire team. And I said, well, do you have input here or there? And he said, no, I basically coach the coaches, which means, all right, what are you doing? Okay, that's fine. What are you doing? That's fine. But and so many of them are like that now.
Yeah.
The head coaches say, well, I coach the coaches and approve of everything they do. So, but anyway, it's just basketball is different.
But
head coach does it.
That's why it's important on a football team to have guys that you can deal with, that you have a relationship with. And I know you brought a bunch of guys from Duke, and you took a bunch of guys up to Washington when you went up there too. That you knew, because you knew what you were going to get out of them. You knew what they would understand. What
I generally left the defense pretty much alone all the time. But we had good, solid coaches, and we had a plan, and away you go.
Yep, absolutely. Well, it was certainly a lot of fun to watch that, and also we had. I don't know if I don't think you could have watched it because I don't think it was on TV anywhere, but the women got a win. They won against Las Vegas on a buzzer beater. So UNLV. And so Florida will actually be back home on Thursday night. Playing Texas Tech.
Texas Tech. Okay.
7:00 on Thursday night. So get out there and help Kelly Ray. I mean, they're got a chance to get into the semifinals of the NIT, so that'd be pretty cool. Didn't go so good for gymnastics. The beam has been such a big event for them all year, but just didn't perform well on the beam.
Yes, exactly right. We had the lead, I think, going into the beam, which is the last event, and we had 310s again.
I know.
We must have had one, bad event and had to count it in the last because we were ahead prior to that, and then finished third. So anyway, what's happened? Oklahoma won the regular season, and now LSU won the tournament. Now the national championship's coming up.
That's a big one.
So
right?
now it's time for the Gators.
Yeah.
Because we're right there with those other two teams, right? I mean, it's just one little slip or not by either person. So it's fun watching gymnastics. You talk about pressure now. Every gymnast, if you really mess up, your team's out of it. They throw one out of the 6 or the 5.
But then the pressure is even worse on the next people.
Yeah, when one's already messed up, then the pressure is on. But that's part of gymnastics for every team. Go out there and do your thing and don't mess up. And we're capable of winning national championship. Jen Rowland's a heck of a coach, and maybe it's our turn for the jump or the fall to bounce our way.
Yeah. Well, and that's what it comes down to. In fact, you never like to start or end on beam because that's the one that has. I can't imagine 4-inch wide bar doing backflips and landing on it perfectly.
Yeah, it's amazing how they do that, but they're really talented.
Yep.
And all the teams, the SEC is by far the best conference
not
in
even
gymnastics by far.
And every
baseball.
sport.
Now, what's happened to our baseball team? Some guys are getting hurt.
Well, Liam Peterson was out this weekend. Their ace. Coppola's been out for a while. Their second best pitcher, and their third best pitcher's out for the year.
Gee.
So they just keep. They've had a lot of injuries, but they're asking young guys, freshmen, to step up, and they just haven't been able to do it. So, but I think it's also bleeding into the hitting, because when you're trying to chase 6 runs or 7 runs, you're trying to hit a 3-run homer even though there's nobody on base.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Sully is a good coach. We know that. He took that team last year all the way to
That's right.
Omaha. So
And we play so many games
Yeah.
in baseball that you just need to get on a good streak, like we did last year, and had a run all the way to semifinals?
yeah, basically semifinals.
Semifinals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They had a great year. I did want to talk a little bit about golf too, because I watched a little bit of that, the Valspar. After the Players, it's not quite as exciting, but it still had a great field in it. And your boy JT, he didn't get it done, man.
Yeah, he's a roll tide. He's a Bama guy. Yeah, he just hit a couple bad drives in the last 3 holes that hurt. But yeah, I always enjoy watching the tournaments where I played that course several times.
Oh, have you? Yeah.
When I was,
I've never played there.
Coaching the Tampa Bay Bandits, they had a little tournament of some kind over there, and some of the guys from Avila would go play in it. So Innisbrook, yeah, it's one of the best in the area, definitely.
Yeah, I think my dad played there one time. They had the Knights of Columbus tournament there. But I'm like you, though. I love to play. I love to watch courses that I play. Is more fun, and that includes a guy. I can watch, like I watched the women's tournament that they had there before, because of the golf course. I just want to see the golf course more. I can't get enough of that golf course. It's so
beautiful.
Incredible. But yeah, so it's been an interesting weekend, and softball was off. So they it's weird how they have an off week, but that's the way the SEC schedule lines up. But you can play somebody, but I think they needed some time off too.
Yeah.
But we'll just see where it can go with basketball. And I mean, Todd Golden is doing an incredible job to think he's already in this situation in year 3. I tell you what, some of those players they just do things that I keep going, I can't believe what you just did. I mean, they're a pretty incredible team.
I tell you one thing about the tournament now, it's not like baseball where you get a loss or something like that. If you lose one in the basketball NCAA, it's history. Even the pros, they play 4 out of 7 and all that kind of stuff. So you can have a bad game, still win it all, but you can't have that one bad game. And all the players know that. And I think that's what makes it so TV driven.
Oh yeah,
people love watching it on TV because it's
because I've heard people even say that we ought to do this 2 out of 3. And I'm like, no, you don't. Yeah. Nobody wants to watch 2 out of 3 in college basketball. The game, first of all, the tournament will last for a month and a half.
Yeah, it will last a while.
But yeah, so but that is the problem. I mean, even in the SEC tournament, if you lose, you're still going to the big tournament. At the end, it's so. You don't want to lose. You want to win. And I hope these guys didn't get tired out winning that tournament. Auburn didn't get tired out. They're doing well.
Well, what all these teams have in the SEC pretty much is they have the regular season championship, okay? And then they have a tournament. They don't have a tournament in football. But what they do, they have a playoff game. But that's the regular season champ. Yeah. And then you have a chance at the national championship. So, like gymnastics, they have a regular season, they have a tournament, and the national. So you go 1, 2, 3, and if you had your choice, you can only win one of the 3. Obviously, it'd be the national, and then after that, it's the regular season. Because when they put the history book out, they write down the regular season champ. You know that,
right?
And
yeah.
then
Oh yeah.
tournament, that's just bragging rights, I guess. Win the tournament in most of these other sports.
But that kind of changed for you guys when they had that SEC championship game, because now that was the way to get to the next thing. You had to win that. A lot of times you had to win that game. Yeah.
To get in the national.
Yeah, to get in the national.
Yeah, we had the division, SEC, and possible national.
Yeah. I mean, you never know what's going to work out. We were just talking before out there about Ryan Day, how lucky he is. If he had a 14 playoff, he wouldn't have gotten in, and they might have fired him.
That's right. Those Ohio State people would have been crying and complaining.
Yeah.
We're 10-2 again, lost to Michigan again, and now they're national champs, and all is forgiven from losing to Michigan.
Right. That's right. Well, obviously we got a lot of stuff still coming up. Hopefully we can get this baseball team turned around somehow. Softball, big series coming up. Tennis is going on, swimming's been going on, track's been going on. There's just so much going on. There's a big event over here right now going on over that complex over there. It's just, again, it feels like Gainesville's the center of the world, like it did when we had your Coach of the Year award going on. It was the epicenter of college football, and now it feels like it's the epicenter of everything because we got a lot going on. Now, obviously, Florida will have to go all the way out to San Francisco to play. I would imagine they'll leave. They might leave today because you got to be there Wednesday for your press conference. So you know they're going to leave at least Tuesday, but
Tuesday I think or so.
But that's, and I don't know. Watching that game, the announcers were saying that Bobby or Danny Hurley was saying to his team in the huddle, "Look, they're feeling the pressure. We're putting the pressure, and they're feeling the pressure. We're turning this into a Big East game. We know how to win those kind of games." And that's what they were doing. They were doing a great job. And I do think Florida players started feeling a little bit of that pressure. Like, we're not supposed to be losing this game. But then, I don't know if Todd Golden told them this. You guys have been here before. You've been behind all year. And not all year, but a lot of games. And come back and won them or come back and took the lead. So that's part of being a coach, though, isn't it?
Yes, we have performed, tight games very well lately. Anyway, we had some lousy. Well, what have we lost? 3 games all year? Four.
Yeah, played one bad one, and that was against Tennessee. And Clayton got hurt during the game, and
up there.
Up there. Other than that, they lost by 1 and by 5 and by 4. So. Pretty good.
But we got a good team ready, and you have in basketball you're gonna have a scare. You're not gonna clobber everybody all the way through. I'm sure Billy Donovan had some close ones on the way to winning it all those 2 times.
It very much reminded me of that second game they played in New Orleans against Purdue, and I was telling people if they get by this game, I think they're gonna go ahead and win it all again. And it was a tight game right down to the wire, and Horford kind of took it over at the very end and made a couple of big shots, kind of like Walter Clayton did. So, which brings us to our Campus USA Play of the Weekend, brought to you by Campus USA. Coach Spurrier is one of the spokesperson. There you go. When he let it go, I was like, "What are you doing taking that shot?"
It looked like he was well guarded, didn't it?
Yeah, well guarded, and it was a fall away, and that's the one that kind of put him over the top. By the way, I noticed Linda Teeler was at this game too.
Yeah.
I think she works for the NCAA now. I think. Yeah. That's a sweet shot.
Yeah, that was a big one there.
And then they got that where the rebound kind of got loose, and Elijah Martin got an easy dunk, and that was huge too.
And it was a game. We weren't very good on our free throws.
No.
To still win, shooting as poorly free throws there. That's a good omen for us, also.
Yeah. Sometimes it's that you don't have the right guys at the free throw line, but this is like Elijah Martin going over 2, and
it was
Condon,
unusual.
who's been better lately, but Tommy Howe at the end made the 2 free throws that put the game away, and that guy deserves a lot of credit for what he's brought to this team. He's really a lot of fun to watch. All right, Coach, you got anything else for us?
All right, that's about it. Be ready next week, hopefully talking positive again about the Gators.
That's right, and hopefully we can talk positive about baseball too. We got to get that going. So
baseball needs to get.
They got FSU tomorrow night, and then we'll see where it goes. They got to go to Ole Miss for a Thursday, Friday, Saturday because. People say, why would they do that? Well, TV says you're going to do it. If TV says you're doing it, you're doing it.
That's right.
That's why Florida's playing on Thursday. Anyway.
Yeah. All right.
All right, that's going to do it with Coach Spurrier. We'll be back with more of another Dooley Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI and Imaging from the Meldon Law Gator Studios right after we take this break. Adams Rib Company has been a staple of Gainesville for more than a decade and a staple of the Dooley house ever since Kelsey's teeth came in. The first time I walked into Adams, I told my daughter that the green beans are always a test of a great barbecue restaurant, and they were perfect. You know about the ribs that melt in your mouth, and my favorite, the turkey plate. But be sure to go in on Fridays for Nana's Fish Nuggets. They will melt in your mouth. Adams Rib Co., a Gainesville great.
Titan MRI, North Central Florida's premier independent diagnostic testing MRI facility. At Titan MRI, we're focused on you, the patient, having a great customer experience. Our MRI equipment is modern and 75% quieter than any unit in its class. And our MRI unit has one of the largest openings of any of the newer high-strength MRI units, which allows comfortable scanning for potential claustrophobic and larger patients. At Titan MRI, we look forward to serving you.
Meldon Law has been serving personal injury victims since 1971. In those days, Jeffrey Meldon's presence as an attorney in the music scene dubbed him with the nickname the Hippie Attorney. And although times have changed, two things haven't. Our commitment to bettering our community by helping the injured.
Albert, are you ready to go to the game?
And our love for the Florida Gators.
If you bleed orange and blue, Meldon Law is the firm for you.
Okay, welcome back to another Dooley Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI and Imaging, coming to you from the Meldon Law Gator Studio here at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. Enjoyed talking to the coach today. Now it's time to talk to Robert A. Andreu. Your T-shirt was appropriate.
It was, wasn't it?
Yeah, he was wearing this Friday night. Show him the T-shirt. You got it behind you there. Yeah. And this was
so true.
This was the theme of the day, Sunday. Nothing is easy. Nothing was easy for Florida.
There we go.
But somehow they found a way to win the game.
Yeah, they did, Pat. I mean, for the whole game, you had the feeling that they were destined to lose the game. It was one of those games where nothing would go right. They couldn't get any rebounds. They were turning the ball over.
Yep.
You just had that feeling that, this is going to be the season ender for them. And when the game got on the line in the end, they came through. They put the pressure on and made plays they had to win the game.
Yeah, I mean, the guts on that team, the guts of Walter to take those two shots late in that game was just amazing. And Tommy Houck making the free throws at the end was great. So it was. Look, you're going to have those games, and nobody could have possibly thought UConn was going to go quietly into the night.
No, I knew that going in. We talked about it. I guess it was Saturday or Friday night.
Yeah,
that this was going to be a difficult game because they're two-time defending national champions, and they've been there before. They're not going to go out. They're going to make it hard on you. They did.
Yep, they did. There's no question about it. It was a lot of fun. When it was over, I almost I didn't really celebrate. I just went, "Oh, thank God that game's over."
It was exhausting, Pat, and I think it must have given a lot of Gator fans close to a heart attack.
Yeah, well, one of them was kept going into her bedroom. That would be my wife, and she'd watch Friends for a while, so she wouldn't have to watch it because she was losing her mind. But.
It's crazy though, Pat. Even though once the game was pretty much you thought over with an 8-point lead, they still made it ridiculously hard to watch the way they finished it.
I know, but hey, they're advancing. They're playing another game.
Yeah.
All right, let us get to Yes, No, Where, Maybe. It's brought to you by Big Mills Cheesesteak, as Robbie's appearance on the Big Mills Cheesesteak Zoom line is. Street dining done the right way there at Big Mills. Go in there and say you listen to this podcast. You get free fries with your order, and certainly go and just get a great meal because they have great food there. All right. Yes, no, where, or maybe, Robbie. Number one, the SEC is going to get two teams in the Final Four.
I'm going to say yes to that, Pat. I mean, you look at 7 teams that made it to the Sweet 16, which is pretty remarkable, and they're all capable of winning it all. I think even Ole Miss and even Arkansas. Arkansas is healthy now, and Calipari's been there before. He knows how to coach in these games, so I think they definitely have a chance.
Yeah, they
to get two in the Final Four, maybe 2 in the final.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Kentucky and Tennessee play each other, so only one of those can be in the Elite Eight. But And you knew somebody was going to have to get matched up eventually. It's because
Well,
there
yeah,
were so many
it had to
teams.
happen.
But yeah, that's a record for the 7 teams in. All right, number 2 on Yes, Nowhere, maybe with Robbie Andreu. You are buying that the Vikings get an A+ grade on their free agent signings from CBS.
I don't. No way, Pat. I don't even know who they signed. To be honest with you.
They got Allen, the line. They got a couple of linemen. They got a couple of offensive linemen. They built their lines of scrimmage, and I think that's why people are raving about it. Yeah.
Well, they definitely needed to do that. The bad offensive line plays is what cost them in the last 2 games of the season, and made what's his name look awful again. The quarterback, Darnold,
Sam
looked
Darnold,
like himself again. Yeah, and a lot of it was his fault, but also a lot was on that terrible offensive line.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they did good. I don't know. A+ seems a little high of a grade to me. Again, you didn't have anybody sexy. You didn't have a quarterback or elite wide receiver.
Again, Pat, I can see where they give that grade because you're it was like recruiting where you meet your needs.
Yeah.
And I think those were their needs. I mean, they're good at wide receiver. They're good at running back.
Yeah, they don't need an elite receiver. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
but
they
line
did
of
get
scrimmage.
Aaron Jones back too, so that's huge. All right, and finally on Yes, Nowhere, maybe number 3, Walter Clayton deserves a statue somewhere on this campus.
Yes, Pat, but only after Billy Donovan gets his.
Yes.
And then when that happens, you're going to have the greatest coach in program history standing next to the greatest player in program history. And you can argue that, and I've got a strong argument with that, he's the only All-American Florida basketball player. So, and look at the way he's played this year, the way he's helped bring this program back to a championship program, which it is now. They won the SEC tournament. They're in the Sweet 16. So, yeah, he's a remarkable player, Pat, and I think the argument is strong. He's the greatest player in school history. So, yeah, give him a statue. He and Billy Donovan both.
It's an argument I'll wait till after the season to have because you want to see how far they go. But, yeah, Clayton, Walk, Horford. Yeah, I can't put Bradley Beal in there because he played 1 year, He was great. Mike Miller was great. You could put him in there, make an argument for him. But, I mean, Clayton is definitely in the argument. I'll say that.
Yeah. Well, you watch what he's done this year, Pat. And to me, he's the best player in college basketball. He should be given that award. He's the best player. He does so much for his team. Here's a guy that was a shooting guard who took over the point and has been great as a point guard and a shooting guard. He's like a combo guard. He's been unbelievable. Yeah, and he makes shots when they need him the most, like he did the other day.
Clutch, Mr. Clutch. Yep. That's what I call him, Mr. Clutch. All right, Robbie, I will see you tomorrow and Wednesday. You'll be on the tailgate.
Okay.
Look forward to it.
I'll be there. Face the radio, Pat.
We'll see you, buddy. Take it easy. Okay, it is time for us to do our Adams Ribco Gator of the weekend. And I was literally following this on Game Tracker. I couldn't find where to watch it on TV, so I'm following on Game Tracker, and all of a sudden I see Florida won the game. And so that is why Kenza Salgis is our Gator of the weekend. Now, they got the ball in Liv McGill's hand. She stumbles. It almost turns it over. Great pass here over to her. And a 3 at the buzzer to win. Who says there's no buzzer beaters in March Madness? Now, I know this is the women's BIT, but still, what a great moment for her and for Kelly Ray Finley, who we had on the air on the show last Thursday. So, but that was really cool. So Kenza Salgis, I think I'm pronouncing it right, but I'm probably not, is our Adams Ribco Gator of the weekend. Of course, they're in the quarterfinals now. Texas Tech on Thursday at 7 if you want to go out and support the women. Why they scheduled it, I guess they have no say in scheduling it. It's up to the committee, but they scheduled it at the same time the men are playing basketball. Now, you want to bring some basketball fans out there, but you're not going to do it when the men are playing in the Sweet 16. It's just not, and that's a shame. Anyway, it could have been worse. Florida could have gotten that 10:30 game, which I was worried they were going to get. Let us move along to our BMI TeleMed Overachiever of the weekend. BMI TeleMed, your weight loss specialist. I'm down. That's all I want to say. I'm down 5 to 6 right now. So I'm keep working on it. I'm about due for another shot and ready to go. We appreciate BMI TeleMed for being a part of it. Victor Hovland is our overachiever of the weekend. And the reason is Victor Hovland shot an 80 at the Players' Championship last week. He fired his coach, his swing coach. He got a new coach. He won the tournament the next week in the same state, the Valspar. And, of course, JT, Justin Thomas, basically handed it to him with those 2 bogeys at the end. But he won. Won with a bogey on the final hole. So, final whore? I'll say that over again. Won with a bogey, in fact, on the final hole of the tournament. That's all he needed to make. He hit in the woods, and he knew he could pitch out and make a bogey, and he did. So, hey, he is our Overachiever of the Week, brought to you by BMI TeleMed. Let us move along to our Gallo Car Wash Sponge of the Weekend. Our Sponge of the Weekend really was from the week. We appreciate Gallo Car Wash. And that is Caitlin Davies for Florida lacrosse, had 4 goals and a big win over Clemson. Clemson was ranked 15th, and Florida beat them. I think it was at Clemson. May have been in Gainesville. I don't know. I can't remember. They've got so many road matches this year. It's kind of weird how many they have. But anyway, she had 4 goals, just soaking up all the goal scoring as they do at Gallo Car Wash with their sponges of the week. And Florida will now play at Penn Wednesday at noon. Again, I don't really understand lacrosse scheduling. Why would you be playing Wednesday at noon? I don't know. I can't explain it. But they are playing Wednesday at noon. All right. Let's get to our Gainesville Quarterback Club, and I want to bring up the dates for you again, that if you want to become a member of the Gainesville Quarterback Club on a trial membership basis, membership at quarterbackclub.org is the website to go to. And the first 3, you can get this trial membership for $150. The first 3, Billy Napier on April 7th, which will be fun. Laura Rutledge on June 3rd, which will be fun. I can't wait to see Laura. And then Billy Donovan on August 26th. That's a lead into the football season. But we're going to bring the best basketball coaches ever coached here. Although he may be getting competition coming up. Don't forget, though, Mike White in his 3rd year got to the Elite 8. So, it's not like – but I still appreciate what Todd Gold is doing. Don't get me wrong, okay? Don't get me wrong at all. All right, so let's move along to our that's our Gainesville Quarterback Club. And again, it's a great deal. You can't go see Billy Napier without joining the club because you can't get in unless you're a member of the club. So you need to do it. And for $250, you get to see those 3 great speakers. And I guarantee you, when we announce the entire speaking schedule and you've done that, you're going to want to stay on board on the Gainesville Quarterback Club. Promise you that. Let's get to our Hesser and Kipke 3 things. And, of course, Hesser and Kipke, we love our friends Jen and Ken. 339-9920, the number to call. Or you can reach them at www.hklawfl.com for all your needs in workers' comp and family law. All right, let's go with number 1, and that is another Gator who did really good this weekend was Luke Poulter, the son of Ian. But he's a good golfer in his own right. This weekend, he won the tournament up at Statesboro, Georgia. And that's his first collegiate win. That's big time, man. Florida played really well up there. They ended up losing by a stroke. I think they shot 11 under in the final day. They really played well in the final day. Just finished second by a stroke. But still, I mean, you're shooting towards the SECs and the NCAAs is what you're doing. But certainly Luke Poulter is getting ready for him. There's no doubt about that. Let's get to number 2 on our Hesser and Kipke 3 things. I did want to mention it wasn't really I guess it was Friday when the news broke that George Foreman had passed away. George Foreman at 76. George Foreman, the only guy that is scarier to him, if like you said you can get in the ring with anybody, the last guy would go in the ring would be Tyson. George Foreman would be second, but it would be close. It would be close because Tyson was so menacing looking. I did watch a documentary on him that was really good and how he changed his whole life, found God, became a minister. then found a way to cook food with a George Foreman grill, and that made a fortune off that. I think he sold it for like $2 billion or whatever. Anyway, certainly changed his life, and appreciated George Foreman, especially his later years. But that was sad to see him pass away. When Ali beat him, that was such a big deal for me. I was a big Ali guy, and it was such a big deal because you didn't think anybody could stay in the ring with Foreman because, I mean, he had just destroyed Frazier. But now I look back on it, I feel bad, But anyway, they're both gone. That makes me even feel sadder, I guess I should say. Finally, number 3 on Hesser and Kipke's 3 things. Sean Miller to Texas. They are not happy at Xavier. There's a lot of people really, really mad that he comes in there and, drive-bys that program, got him into the tournament, lost to Texas, started talking up Texas, and then goes to Texas. He'll do well there. He's a really good coach. I don't have any doubt that he'll do really well there, but people are not happy with him. But, hey, this is the world we live in. Just like it's the world we live in, Danny Hurley. God, keep doing that. Danny Hurley. The world we live in is if you say something in a public place, it could be on YouTube. It could be on Facebook. It could be on Twitter. The world we live in is if you get a coach, doesn't mean he's going to stay there. Doesn't mean he is. I mean, there are places that are linking Todd Golden to jobs. Now, I don't think that's the case, but just because you save a guy from purgatory, as they did with Sean Miller, doesn't mean he's going to be loyal to you. Nobody's loyal to anybody. Players aren't loyal. Coaches aren't loyal. We're all just rooting for the laundry. Let's get to that was number 3. Okay, so appreciate Hesser and Kipke, Ken and Jennifer. Ken and I were texting back and forth about that game, and he just said, that was clutch as heck. And he is right. All right, our Leonardo's and Millhopper quick pick. We're just going to give you a simple one. I'm not sure everybody understood mine last week, so anybody who entered, I'm qualifying you, okay? Because I felt like there was a lack of communication by me, and as a result, people were betting. They were saying 10 teams would make it into the Sweet 16, but you knew that wasn't going to be the case. Anyway, the bottom line is everybody is qualified who sent me an email, patrickdooley54@gmail.com. This will be a simple one. Florida FSU in Jacksonville tomorrow night. Who wins? I know where I'd be leaning right now, but hopefully Florida can snap out of this funk they're in. So that is our Leonardo's and Millhopper quick pick. Florida FSU in Jacksonville tomorrow. Let's move along to our Los Linderos smooth move of the weekend. And it didn't get any smoother than this, although I wasn't very happy about it, and that was Derek Queen, who is, of course, plays for Maryland. They've got 3.5 seconds when the inbound the ball, and he just takes it and drives down the lane. Nobody helps. Guy put up pretty good defense. He makes the bank shot, wins the game. However, he walked on the play. There's no doubt he walked. I've watched it 100 times. He took 3 steps. People are coming in and saying, no, there's a rule that says you can gather on the first step and then take 2 steps. That's a rule in the NBA. It's not a rule in college. In college, and multiple referees have chimed in and go, oh, that was definitely a walk. And people say, well, you don't call it there at that position of the game. And I'm like, well, is it a walk or not? If it was a foul, you'd call it. Wouldn't you? If it was a goaltending, you'd call it. I don't know. I mean, what are you going to do? I always say you got to play around the refs. You can't play around a buzzer beater, where a guy walked. So, look, Maryland, come on. Gators are ready for you. You got a really good team. It's going to be interesting. But that is definitely our Los Linderos smooth move of the weekend. Of course, it's as smooth as an Urban Meyer special teams play. I came up with that slogan all by myself. All right, let's get to our Hugh, Cain, Allstate Mayhem moment. And this was certainly an interesting one. The Gator Nation is in good hands with local Allstate agent Hugh Cain. Stop by Alachua Marketplace Plaza in Alachua and get a free quote today. All right, so I'm watching this game live, and I'm watching it, and I'm like, what is Anthony Grant doing? Of course, this was an NIT game, Dayton and Chattanooga. I was watching it for two reasons. One was because of Anthony Grant, and he just lost his mind. You got a get back coach there helping him out to keep him from getting another technical. But I was watching the game, and I still don't know exactly what he was complaining about. But he was not happy, Anthony. Oh boy, and his team was eliminated, so now he's really mad. But he is the most laid back, mild-mannered guy, but he was not on this occasion. All right, that is our Hugh Cain Allstate. Hugh Cain looks a little like Hugh Grant. Mayhem moment. We have to get to the circle, brought to you by Steve and Christine Wendig. And, of course, very light week for the Gators because of the weekend off. And, of course, they won on Monday. They won that game. They won on Wednesday again. So they have a game, obviously, on Wednesday down at UCF, and then another weekend series. We'll see how it goes. I don't know the deal on Rothrock yet, whether she's going to be back. It's funny that they were doing the Oklahoma game, and they said, we're hearing she may be back this weekend, but she wasn't, so I don't know if she's going to be back this week. Hopefully she is, man. I mean, again, I don't want her to push what she's having to deal with any more than she feels she can push it. But you want her ready for the end of the year when you're trying to win regionals and stuff like that. But that is going to be a problem if they can't get her back because, I mean, they got a freshman out there, a transfer who struggled. Their pitching is not what it is when Keegan Rothrock is pitching. So hopefully we'll see more of her this week. That is our Steve and Christine Wendig for Boss Hart Realty. Present the circle. All right. I think we are down to our swamp games of the weekend. Look, I've got a lot of games for the weekend. I think you know that. But our weekend starts Thursday, so we'll give it to you then. But I did want to – baseball is playing 6 o'clock in Jacksonville against FSU, but I can't find anywhere it's televised. Now, the last game was televised, and this has happened every year, I feel like. Or not every year, but a lot of years. Because if it's the ACC's game – FSU doesn't necessarily want to do the production for it. And if it's the SEC's game, I think Florida does. So I don't know. Right now, as I sit here at this moment, I have not seen anywhere where it's on TV. But somehow it's got to be on. Florida and FSU playing baseball? You got to be kidding me. But this has happened before. Softball is on at UCF, 6 o'clock Wednesday. That game is on ESPN+. Women's basketball, of course, they play Thursday. They play against Texas Tech. That game is on ESPN Plus as well. That's a 7 o'clock start. And I'm going to give you a Wednesday basketball game. Look, we don't have anything else going on, for a while till Thursday. But Chattanooga Bradley is on ESPN2 Wednesday night at 7. And the only reason I bring it up, there's two reasons. One is it's being played at Hinkle Fieldhouse. All the games are at Hinkle now. And that is where they filmed the last game for Hoosiers, which we ought to all honor Gene Hackman with a cocktail or something. But that's part of it. And I've been there before because that's where when they had the tournament in Indianapolis, it was right around the corner. It wasn't far away. But the other reason is there is a player who I didn't know was playing for Chattanooga named Trey Bonham, and you may remember him. He was a sometime starter on Mike White's first team. He was one of the first transfers, not the first. Will Richard was the first, but I think he was the second who came here from VMI, and he's a pretty good player for Chattanooga and thought about even transferring out again, but decided to stay there. So that'll get me to watch it for a while at least, and as long as it's a close game. And that's pretty much it for this week. But this weekend will be a whole nother story. And we'll get to that on Thursday. We'll be back then with Pat Bradley, the shooter. We look forward to that. Thanks to Zach for doing a great job today cleaning my stuff up. And we appreciate Coach Spurrier and Robbie for joining the show. We'll be back again on Thursday. Till then, I am Pat Dooley for another Dooley Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI and Imaging from the Meldon Law Gator Studios. I am deep, I'm way back, and I am out of here.